Go. Okay. Good evening. My name is Rosanna Strong, and I have a job and a workplace that requires me to work. I'm a tour guide. This is a story of a walk of using technology. In 2014, myself and Umva Media put together a walking tour that is using an app. It's the first walking tour in the NWT, and it uses homemade maps, historical photos, text, narration, storytellers, and a liberal dash of homemade music. So we have employed this technique to get people out to explore our home, and what better place to explore than our very own Old Town. Guess we didn't get the sound clip on this one, eh? No, okay. So the reason why it came about is that we found that not everybody takes a tour with people like myself, but we wanted them to get a really good sense of place. And one way to do that is through technology. You see everybody using their technology these days. We have things like a Old Town dictionary as part of our text, a way to help with the local vernacular. We also have ways of giving directions like a Yellowknifer, turn left at the old liquor store. Which old liquor store is the question? The sound walk is a method of discovery of the essence of the Old Town. Here we have stories of buildings that have had many lives, like the people here, and buildings like this one, which became the Old Stove Wood Shop, which was formerly Rex Cafe, which was originally Sutherland's Drugs, as we see here being pulled off the rock and moving it to Latham Island. These places have history and connection. If paint could talk, these buildings could tell stories. Not only do our buildings have a place in the app, we also have our voices of the Old Town, these storytellers, people like Fran Hercombe, who tell us stories of a gentleman in the woodyard named Slugger, who's memorialized in a song called Slugger and Me. We have Pat Braden telling what life is like in a shack that was owned by one of our original residents, Pete Racine. We have women who tell stories, a mother-daughter story by Pat Winter and Carolyn England, of being members of the Daughters of the Midnight Sun. This was a social organization that started in 1938 to connect the women in town. It turned into a charitable organization that made our home the place that we live in today. And of course, they did it with verve and lots of panache. Love those hats. The Sound Walk takes us past our iconic places in Yellowknife, like Ragged Ass Road, formerly known as Privy Lane. The Wildcat Cafe, where it was run by two gentlemen named Smoky Stout and Willie Wiley, and you had to have really cool names back then. It helps us meander all these curvy roads that we have in the Old Town and connects us. There they are at the Wildcat Cafe that served many a meal, mostly cooked by Smoky's sister, who served many people coming off from the bush and on the planes that landed just outside the other side of that Wildcat Cafe. The other places are the Rock, where we get a raven-eyed view of the Old Town, the mines that made our town, and the new town of where residents from the Old Town moved. And it was a big deal when people went up the hill to Newtown. We'll never see you, you're so far away. We also have an opportunity through sounds and stories to get an idea of what it's like to live in the eclectic homes that we have here, houseboats, shacks, homes that have traveled from other places to be here and landing in the Old Town. That's the first houseboat that began it all. We do flybys, the planes that dot our shorelines. Oh, those planes and the legends of the pilots that still make up the fabric of our community. This is one of my favorite planes. This is the Nudie Norseman. It's Buffalo Joe's plane. It's a skin-covered plane, and you don't see very many of those anymore. We also stroll down a lane that's said to have a brush with Hollywood history, but we know it's really a residence that lives down there. Right, Lois? I'm so glad you're here. The walk connects you to culture, history, and community, where we can find all sorts of things, like love, for folks like Mary Hamilton and Red MacDonald. She's coming up next. Boy, I'm talking faster than my 20 seconds. I can't believe it. So they met here in the old town, Red and Mary, and it was love at first sight. And they ran away and eloped and had their honeymoon on Great Slave Lake. Mary's mother put her APB out on them because they had run away and eloped. So it takes us to places where we meet people of influence that have changed the laws here in the North and Aboriginal rights. You throw in $1 million duck and boy, have you got an old town story. This is Sequier, this is off in Dilo. So from here, there's opportunity, where it still rains, where a young woman like this one here can have a place in our transportation history. And her history is by rowing a boat, and there were no wooden nickels given to Bertha Watt. Our project is couldn't have gotten off its feet without the help of so many people that when we asked, can you be a part of this, or would you like to be a part of this, they said yes, and we began to walk on building this app. We are grateful and very humbled. As we sifted through the history and listened to the stories and selected the music and explored every nook and cranny of the old town, I realized that this app is not just an app that connects you through a device. It's a walking love letter to the people of this place, past, present, and future, all who connect me to this home that I live in, Yellowknife. This is why I walk, to be connected, to make connections to others.